Hello. It has felt like spring this last weekend and last week, but here I am in my hoodie and sweatpants because we had a cold front come through last night, and it's only going to last one day, but it's cold today, and then the rest of the week it's going to turn back into spring. So crazy weather. But Chris and I are listening to the word right now on love, our love walk. Not the emotional, mushy, gushy feeling kind of love, but the self-denying, sacrificial, when you don't feel like it, God kind of love. So we're building ourselves up in that area because we've both noticed that we are low in our faith, in our strength, and in our walk in that area. So we're listening to the word on love and our love walk. Right now, we're listening to Pastor Keith Moore out of Branson, Missouri. And it's really good. So we got in a good conversation this morning, and I just kind of wanted to recap it because Chris was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. He was taking notes. And so I just wanted to share our conversation, a recap of our conversation, and from listening to the word on love and how to love. And so I shared with Chris that one of the things that I do, and I have not been doing as good on it, but I was reminded today as we were listening to the preaching on love, that one of the first things that I do, and I don't even remember when I started doing it, but I ask myself one question, and that is when someone needs something, wants something, asks something of me, I ask myself, can I say yes? And I know a preacher said that. I don't want to steal it. Somebody said it, and then I grabbed it and took a hold of it. But regardless, it's a very easy question that you can ask yourself to see if you're walking in love. And that is if a mother-in-law or a son or a husband or a friend or a brother or a sister says, hey, can you do this? Hey, can you come to this? Hey, can you do this for me? Or can I have some of your time? Instead of just saying what I feel, which is no, I don't want to do that. No, I don't have time. No, I'm too busy. No, I'm tired. No, I just sat down for 5 seconds. I've been working. No, I don't want to get back up and do something for you now. You ask yourself, can I say yes? And if you can say yes, then most of the time you should say yes. If you're walking in love and you're being unselfish, if you can say yes, then why not? Why not say yes? Why not put someone above yourself? Why not be unselfish? Why not show love? And so that was one thing I shared with Chris. That is a easy thing that we can do is ask ourselves, can I say yes? The other thing that we talked about is that there are different love walks that you use for different relationships. And that really hit Chris because he was like, oh, how do I love everybody? How do I give to everybody? And, it's overwhelming. I can't do it. And so I just said, you take each relationship, and I believe that there is a different way to walk in love in those different relationships. So the way we broke it down is you have your outside relationships, that's outside your house. So your friends, your extended family, acquaintances, strangers, whatever, the relationships outside your house. How do you walk in love with them? Then you have the relationships in your house. For us, we have in-laws, we have parents, we have kids in our own home. So how do we handle and walk in love in those relationships in your home? And then your marriage relationship. How do we walk in love in the marriage relationship? Now, the marriage relationship is totally different than the other relationships. And where we discovered that it's different is that in the marriage relationship, you don't always have to say, well, I'm going to just defer and I'm never going to get what I want and I'm always going to compromise and I'm always going to give the other person what they want and I'm just going to suffer for this whole marriage. That's not the way it should be. Ideally, both spouses are walking in love. Both spouses are preferring the needs of the other above their own. Both spouses are compromising. Both spouses are giving. And so in our case, we said, okay, we need to, and we've done this before, but again, because things change, people change, circumstances change, we need to get in agreement on what is most important to you and what is most important to me, and how do we come into agreement and how do we compromise so that we both are walking in love, but we both are receiving love, and we both are giving and getting what is important to us and what we need. And that really helped Chris out, because he was feeling some kind of way today, like he's going to have to just walk on coal and hot coal and suffer, the rest of his life, the rest of his marriage, because he's going to just have to give up everything that he wants and do everything that I want 24/7. And, that's a temptation. That's a thought that comes when you are trying to walk in love. And that is, what about me? What about my needs? How am I going to get what I want if I'm just focused on giving to everybody else? And I've had that thought so many times, because I will say, okay, I'm going to submit to Chris, and I'm going to love him, and I'm going to do the things that he wants to do. And I'm going to love my kids, and I'm going to be there when they need me, and I'm going to do everything that they need. And I'm going to take care of my house, and I'm going to do everything so that my house is spick and span all the time and organized, and the laundry's all done, and there's hot meals cooked every meal, and I'm going to be the best daughter-in-law I can be, and I'm going to be the best daughter I can be. And it just, you get the thought, what about me? And when we were listening to Pastor Keith Moore today talk about love, if you're saying, what about me and what about my needs, then you're not focused on walking in love. And the bottom line is that you are not going to be forgotten. You are not going to be left out. God will not forget you. God will love you. But when you're talking about your love walk, you are not focused on yourself and your needs and what you want and what you need. You're focused on the needs and desires of others. And that is walking in love. So in the marriage relationship, which is what Chris and I were talking about today, you focus on, what does my spouse need? What does my spouse want? And in Chris and my relationship, I've never been married to anyone else, so I only can reference our relationship. There are things that are very important to him, and they're not that important to me. For instance, for an example, we talked about controlling the radio in the car. Chris has always liked to control the radio in the car. He's really big into music, downloading songs, looking up songs when he hears them at a restaurant. He'll look it up and find it, and so he can add it to his playlist. And he loves to control the radio in the car. That's very important to him. And so he said, well, am I going to have to give that up? Do you want to control the radio in the car sometimes? And I said, no, that is not important to me. I am not the music buff. I'm not the one that, wants to pick out the songs and have a playlist and connect my phone to the car. That's just not me. And I told him, when you're not in the car, when I get in the car and I'm with the kids, I do turn the radio on, but I just go to one of the 2 Christian radio station options that are available on our XM radio. And that's it. I just leave it there, and there's some music playing, and it's edifying and it's nice, but he takes it to a whole nother level. So I said, no, that's not important to me. So that's just a small example of something that, if it's important to one spouse and not the other one, well, that's really easy. Like, I'm walking in love by deferring to him, but it's not a big sacrifice. But if he said, okay, I shouldn't control the radio all the time, I'm going to defer to you and let you control the radio sometimes, that would be a huge sacrifice for him. And it's an unnecessary sacrifice, because it doesn't even mean anything to me. So that's just an example of the conversations that a husband and wife should have, and see what is important to each one. And now for me, what we talked about, something that is extremely important to me, is family time. that we spend time as a family, that we fellowship together as a family, that we hang out together and have fun together as a family. That is a huge deal to me. It always has been. And it's a big sacrifice for Chris. It always has been. So that's an area where he can walk in love and sacrifice, and then I can get what I need. So I just wanted to share what we are learning right now, and just encourage everyone to work on their love walk, and that when you walk in love, it should be coming from your relationship with God, because we cannot walk in love in our own strength. So you have to build yourself up. You have to pray and ask God for help, and ask him to show you how you can be more loving. And again, I'm not talking about emotional, mushy, or word love. Hey, I love you. I love you. You know, that word is thrown around very flippantly. And the words are great, but if they're not backed up by any actions, then it doesn't mean anything. If I tell you I love you, and I never see you, I never spend time with you, I never show you any love, well, okay, it doesn't really mean anything. So what we're talking about is action love, sacrificial love, self-sacrificing love, unselfish love, putting the needs of others above your own. So let's just work on walking in love, the God kind of love, and sacrificing our own desires so that we can show God's love to others, and so that we can glorify God and just lift each other up. And that's my little love wisdom nugget today.